Hello everybody and welcome to another amazing video of DIY investing. For today's video, I'm going to be breaking down where I personally think the best investment over this cycle is going to be. Now that we're at the very beginning of this new bull cycle, it's now more important than ever before to pick which ecosystems, which investments you're going to be holding for the long-term trend. It's the people that are doing research, finding great investments that are undervalued now, that are going to be the ones reaping the rewards a couple years from now when the blow-off top takes place. This is the crypto cycle that I believe is going to be the biggest one that we have ever seen. All of the cycles are lining up for that to be so, and so for today's video, I'm going to be breaking down where my personal belief, the best investment that you could place your money inside of this next cycle is actually going to be, and why I believe that it's going to be taking off so much bigger than anything else inside of the market. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and with that being said, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, so here we are to start off today's video, and I did want to quickly talk a little bit about what we're seeing inside of Bitcoin. Now what you guys know, what I've been talking about is the fact that I saw this as a retest. I expected that we were going to get a buyback, and we're most likely going to continue going up from here. And if we come into the short time frames, we can actually see that we did get that buyback. And so as it stands right now, we're going to be watching for the potential that this actually ends up holding support, and it could go a little bit lower. I'm going to get into an even shorter time frame so you guys can tell what's going on here. The thing here, on the shorter time frames, we weren't actually able to hold the breakout of this descending resistance. We came back inside of this, but we had a big breakout off of these lows, and it is still possible that we end up holding horizontal support. And so that's kind of the thing that I'm going to be watching for right now, even if we end up coming back down a little bit lower, because we can come back down, hit this consolidation that we've been at for a little while now, and I still wouldn't really think that that's bearish at all. We could come one more final low, and maybe we do that before we get any sort of breakout. But once we can get outside of this descending resistance, once we can truly confirm that we're going to be making higher highs, then at that point we're going to be looking for our next leg up in this cycle. And that next leg up, in my opinion, is going to be taking us to about 31,750. That's kind of where I'm going to be watching, and it could even run upwards of about 32,000 and a half. Those are going to be the most important levels to watch for a potential pullback after. I think the big thing here, guys, is we've had this massive impulse off of these lows, and the more that we continue to break out, the more likely that I think it's going to have some type of a blow off top. And so once we get really past this level here, between 31,750 and about 32,400, that's going to be the point where if we get above that, we can hold support above this level. Even if we come back down and have to reconsolidate around where we're at right now, I think that that's going to give us that potential where we're actually going to run upwards of $40,000 and $50,000. And so that's the thing that we need to remember here. The more that we continue to impulse like this, in my opinion, the more likely it is that this is going to resolve to some type of blow off top. Because if we remove what I just drew here and we come back and look all the way at what happened in 2019, the market structure so far looks very much the same. And this is pretty much what I mean right here. Now, I don't think that the market's just going to instantly teleport into new all-time highs, but it looks like the similar type of consolidation here, right? Now, the bottom formation is a little bit different. Bitcoin kind of just rounded out here over the course of about 110 days, whereas Bitcoin in this current bear market, we went through this consolidation and it looked similar, but then we went for one more final low before we actually finished that bear market. So there is a little bit of a difference here, but it's still roughly the same type of consolidation. Now after this rounded bottom, we end up getting our first breakout, and that's really similar to this consolidation here. And that's kind of what I've been talking to you guys about as well. And so the fact that we've continued to break out from this point, now that we're kind of getting back around that $30,000 level, the second that that becomes support, confirmed support, no matter how long we chop around at this level, I think that that's really where we're going to get that leg up to where we can run up to $40,000 and $50,000. And it'll continue to kind of follow along to this. Now, obviously, it's going to be a smaller version of that, so I'm not anticipating this entire thing to go into new all-time highs, like I said. But, you know, we are seeing a similar type of consolidation. So I really wouldn't underestimate the potential where we do continue to follow this up to this resistance here. And when that happens, we're going to see a lot of money coming into these markets in the same way that it happened in 2019. during this first run up in the market, that's where we saw the outliers of the new cycle start to take off. They started to outperform, and we actually saw Chainlink in this period. Chainlink actually outperformed Bitcoin throughout this entire leg up, and it was really Chainlink that kicked off that last bull run. And if you guys remember from my last video, I talked about how it was actually Chainlink that started DeFi, and we wouldn't really have DeFi and the ability to be able to earn yield and do all these great things without the help of Chainlink. And so with all of that, now that we're at this beginning of the new cycle, we're going to see some other type of consolidation, some other breakout into the new bull trend. If we end up running all the way up here like I think we will, there's going to be another new narrative that takes off. There's going to be new altcoins that take off. They start outperforming. They start outshining. And that's really where the new money is going to be flowing into this new cycle. And it happens every single bull run. I still believe that older altcoins are going to continue to do their thing. You know, there's always going to be some that end up dying though. And there's always going to be new ones that come into the market and take market share. So we have to always remember that. Now, guys, let's talk about the ecosystem that I think is going to be the most profitable narrative. I've personally invested a lot of money inside of this ecosystem because out of every single one of them out there, I don't really believe that there's a trend that is going to be quite as big. Now, there is going to be plenty of trends out there that end up being pretty close, in my opinion. There's going to be a lot of big narratives to profit off of over the course of this cycle. But I think that, you know, how Chainlink really kicked off the beginning of our last bull run, the way that I see this cycle playing out is through Arbitrum. I actually think that that's going to be playing out with Arbitrum. And through this airdrop, it really added a ton of liquidity into all of these markets. And it really helped bolster the entire economy as a whole. Now there's more people talking about it. Now there's a way people can invest inside of the governance, being the Arbitrum token itself. And what we've actually seen ever since it got added was we've actually seen a breakout, and now we're sitting into new all-time highs. I mean, technically, if you look at exchanges, you know, they had this big wick, and a lot of these go all the way upwards of like $10. So technically, it's not a new all-time high. But as far as what we're looking and trading, this is a breakout of the range highs, and this is in price discovery. So it's pretty much the same thing. I don't count that entire wick that goes up to $10 because the price of Arbitrum instantly came back down to about $1 to $1.50 to $1.10, and that's where it consolidated. So now that we're at this point where we're breaking out, we're sitting into, you know, price discovery roughly. Even if we consolidate here for a little bit longer, I think that this will actually be going into price discovery, and we can see that based off of the TVL. This is the most important chart to really watch as we're at the very beginning stages of this bull run, because the TVL shows, you know, the total value locked inside of the ecosystem. All of the DeFi protocols inside of the ecosystem are ultimately going to be locking up value, and we can actually see which projects are locking up the most, and obviously GMX is that leader. You guys obviously know how bullish I am on GMX, but now we're at this point where Arbitrum token is sitting at range high price discovery, so we broke out. We're looking at the total TVL sitting at right at those all-time highs, about to break out and go into price discovery. When we come over here and take a look at GMX, which is ultimately the best performer on Arbitrum, we're seeing it in price discovery. It's already broken out of all-time highs. It's already retested those all-time highs as support, and now it's even breaking out of those highs, and it's now retesting that as support. So this thing's really about to send it into price discovery. This thing's going to pick up in a big way, and I do believe that, you know, more people are going to talk about what's happening with GMX. And the way that I kind of see this cycle playing out, I believe Arbitrum's the big narrative to play. I think that there will be other profitable narratives, but for me, that's where I focused a lot of my personal wealth. And I think that's going to be where I am going to continue to focus over this cycle. Now, with that being said, the chain link of our last cycle for this cycle, in my opinion, will be GMX, and that is going to be basically, you know, the unicorn of the Arbitrum ecosystem, and we can see that it's the biggest leader, and it's leading by far. There are other protocols that are starting to catch up and get a little bit of a market share dominance, but overall, I think GMX is going to continue to lead because of how much revenue GMX actually produces just in their fees. And in comparison to a lot of higher market cap projects in DeFi, this one is outshining those in a big way. And I think that that will ultimately bolster real price discovery that is, you know, pretty much inevitable at this point. We're seeing the build-up, and even though we are into price discovery and we've been breaking out and making higher highs, this is really just the first beginning stages of going parabolic, right? This was just the beginning impulse that we ever had, you know, pretty much fully retraced the move. And now ever since that, we've basically just been getting the very beginning foundations of a parabolic impulse. And so we know that if we look at the years past and we look at different cryptos that end up getting significant market share over the beginning of a new cycle, Chainlink was one of those cryptos. Now, even though GMX has significantly more market cap this time around, there's more money in the market to go around. So the second that all these markets, being Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all of the other chains, break out and we start to really see upside potential, like what we saw in 2019, being this leg up, when we see another one of those, we're going to see a ton of money flooding into these ecosystems. And that's exactly what all these charts are telling us. There's a ton of buy support for Arbitrum thus far, and this is an airdrop token. You know, people obviously aren't trying to sell it because this thing's going up. Now, when we're looking at GMX being the unicorn of Arbitrum, we're seeing this thing really outshining a lot of the markets. It held up better inside of the bear market. As we began the new bull market, it's outshined the majority of other cryptos out there. I believe that this is going to continue to do so, and there's going to be a significant focus on this in the same way that there was with Chainlink in that last cycle. So this is kind of the one that I'm going to be closely watching, but you guys got to keep in mind that there's plenty of other cryptos inside of that ecosystem. One of my other favorite plays is actually RDPX. Now, DopeX is a decentralized exchange. You can leverage trade. I believe it's options or perpetuals, one of the two. I haven't personally traded on their decentralized exchange, but I do know that it's going to be one of the leaders. Now, DopeX has two tokens. They have DopeX, which is DPX, and then they have RDPX, and this is actually the rebate token. Now, RDPX outperforms DopeX, the token itself, and so I believe that this is going to continue to do that. So I actually hold this one over the other. Now, they actually have version 2 coming out soon. This is going to make the tokens completely deflationary, and this is really going to bolster up, in my opinion, price discovery. We're already seeing that in the short term based off the charts. Up to this point, one of the big reasons I love Arbitrum right now is because Arbitrum altcoins never broke below their summer sell-off, right? You know, Ethereum did the same thing, but whereas Bitcoin sold off and some of the other altcoins made lower lows during our secondary sell-off being the FTX collapse, a lot of those tokens in the Arbitrum ecosystem held higher highs. And I think that that's an important factor to keep in mind because it shows that there's a lot more buy support in these markets. Now, we've only ever finished 2 one waves. This is wave 1 of 1, right? And this is wave 1 of 3. And so whenever you have stacking 1 waves, we finish wave 1 and we're working on wave 3. So I'm just going to draw wave 3 up here, wave 4, and wave 5. But in the short term, we finished wave 1 of 3, and now we're working on wave 3 of 3. And I think that this could run all the way up to about $150 before we see any sort of significant pullback. Probably pull back down to around $90 to $100. And then I really won't be surprised to see us get another leg up because we still have an entire Elliott wave cycle to be completing here. And then we still, have to factor in a whole other wave 5 after that. So I'm not trying to share with you guys exactly where the price is going. I never try and do that. I'm trying to share with you guys how we're at the very, very, very beginning stages of a parabolic uptrend. And anytime you have a wave 1 impulse followed by a wave 1 of 3 impulse, that's always the most bullish setup that you can have before a real parabolic move gets in place. So with me saying that, we're actually seeing this across the board on all these Arbitrum altcoins. Now, RDPX looks really solid. GMX obviously leads and outperforms everything. I think it will continue to do that. But some of these other cryptos, they're all kind of at different places, but all of them look similar inside of their consolidations. Plutus is one of my favorite cryptos inside of this ecosystem. If you guys have been following the channel, then you're actually up a decent amount of profit in this one already because I've been talking about it since all the way over in here, basically in early February. Now, inside of Plutus, the reason I like this so much is because of really what this thing does. Now, out of all of the markets, if we come over here and we actually look at what cryptos got the majority of the Arbitrum in the airdrop, we can see that Plutus only has a small market cap and it's much smaller in comparison with all of these other cryptos that got these huge market shares of that airdrop. But Plutus DAO got 2.7 million Arbitrum tokens, and it's got a significantly lower market cap. And so they're actually going to have a significant amount of governance inside of the Arbitrum ecosystem. And what's interesting about Plutus DAO is it's an entire DAO. So Plutus DAO actually owns significant governance inside of Jonestown as well. They actually own the vast majority of governance. So they basically control the governance of Jonestown. And then they own a bunch of governance in some of these other ones, being DopeX, which is the one we just talked about. They own a huge amount of governance inside of DopeX. And with them having such a small market cap, cap, I genuinely believe that this is going to be one of the biggest cryptos inside of that ecosystem, and we're going to continue to see it take off. And we're comparing this to all of these other cryptos up here that got so much of this Arbitrum airdrop. This one has significantly less market cap. And so I really think that this thing is going to be taking off in a big way. What we're seeing it do right now is breaking out of those range highs. This was the previous all-time high, being the August highs, and we most recently broke out of those in this move here, flipped them as support, and now we're getting continuation from that point. So I'm actually expecting that this thing's going to be breaking out, and we're going to be setting up for our next leg up. And with this one getting so much adoption through Arbitrum, you know, I mean, I guess you could say that. It doesn't have that much adoption because it's a low cap, but I believe that what it's setting itself up to do is really be one of the biggest leaders inside of the entire ecosystem because of how much governance power they actually own, not inside of just Arbitrum itself, but inside of many of the top cryptos inside of that ecosystem too. Now, one of the other cryptos I want to talk to you guys about is Hamachi Finance. If you guys have been following this channel, you'll actually know that we talked about Hamachi all the way back down in this period here, somewhere around 0.00001 cents, I guess. It's kind of hard to say exactly what price that is. But from where we're at today, you're looking at about a 6x. Now, the reason I'm talking to you guys about this one today is because if you hold this token or if you buy this token and hold from this point on, they're actually going to be doing another snapshot for an airdrop because the way Hamachi Finance works, they actually go cross-chain, and every time they go cross-chain and they bridge, this time they're going to Binance Smart Chain. They're going to be bridging over there, and all of the current holders that hold Hamachi on Arbitrum, they're actually going to get a duplicated version, 1-to-1 ratio, airdrop to them over on Binance Smart Chain. And so if you're going to be holding any of these tokens, you're going to be able to qualify for the airdrop. They already did one snapshot, so anybody that's still holding this from, you know, those original videos that I made, you're actually going to be getting access to an airdrop. The first snapshot's taken, the second one will be waiting. So you can buy more if you want. You can get airdropped on the secondary snapshot that's been taken. And I believe that that's like 30 to 50% of the total. So it's still a decent amount, and I would be watching out for that. But regardless, guys, this is one of my favorite cryptos. I've made more money on this than anything else. Keep in mind, I bought the pre-sale, so obviously I'm going to make way more money than everybody else. And so if you're buying now, just remember that I got in way earlier. And so I didn't really expect it to ever do this good and take off like this. But my tokens are also locked for 6 months, and then I get the rest of them after 12 months. So I do have to hold on to this regardless. But it is still going to be one of my favorite cryptos over the course of this bull cycle. I still believe that it's got plenty more upside potential. The total market cap is only 13 million. And so what this can do, basically by holding it, you earn rewards. And through those rewards, it's paid out in Arbitrum tokens. Now that it's bridging over to Binance Smart Chain, they're actually going to be paying out. Well, what they do is they basically take all of the money that they generate in fees and transactions from people buying the token. They take that based off of a buy and sell tax, and then they go and use all of that money as liquidity to farm different projects that are on these chains. They started with Arbitrum, and if you were here early and you've been, you know, holding this and staking and earning those rewards, you've probably earned quite a bit of money inside of those Arbitrum tokens because a lot of them have pumped as well. So the entire point of this crypto is to buy it, hold it. As you're holding it, you're earning rewards, and all of those rewards are paid out in tokens that are early to these cycles that are going to be pumping. So in my opinion, it's a perfect scenario, and at only 13 mil market cap, and with airdrops planned, and as it's going to continue to expand to even more chains aside from Binance, I really don't think you can go wrong holding this crypto long term. So be watching out for Hamachi Finance. Now next up is going to be Jonestown. You guys know this is one of my favorite cryptos. It's one of the DeFi leaders inside of the Arbitrum ecosystem, and thus far, it's in the same boat as all the other ones. It's only ever finished a wave 1, and it's working inside of wave 1, wave 3, and then we'll get wave 5 of 3, right? So this is a wave 3 impulse that we're building right now, and we're at the very beginning stages of this. Now, the way that you get a target for this, you go from the high down to the low, and then we have to go to at least the 1618 for this to actually be a confirmed wave 3, which in my opinion what we're going to end up doing is something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Get a correction, and then we still have one more leg up to go after that. So as far as it stands now, in my opinion, where we're going to be headed from here, we're probably going to be running upwards of about $8.30, and on the high end, you could even potentially see this thing go all the way up to $14. It really depends on how parabolic the entire market gets. If Bitcoin takes off like crazy, like 2019, you know, Arbitrum as a whole could really explode. As Arbitrum, the ecosystem is sitting at all-time highs and about to go into price discovery, I really wouldn't be underestimating the power of what these things can actually do, being given all of this added liquidity inside of the market, especially being given all this liquidity through the Arbitrum airdrop as a whole. So with this one, I think that the upside potential is a lot. It only has $11.4 million total market cap, and I do believe that this is going to be one of those to watch because of the fact it's going to most likely going to continue to be one of those leaders inside of the DeFi space in the ecosystem. So that's Jonestown. Now the last one on today's list is going to be SPA, which is actually SpareX. Now SpareX is one of these cryptos that holds significant governance and voting power inside of the ecosystem. If we come over here and we look at this chart that I was sharing with you guys, Pluto DAO owns a significant amount, but then also if we come over to this one here and we look a little bit lower, we have Jonestown here at rank 16. And then we have SpareX ranked down here at 22. So as far as a lot of these different cryptos that have small market caps that got a ton of money in that airdrop from the Arbitrum token, there's quite a few in here that were just included in today's video that got a bunch of money in that airdrop. And these have small market caps, guys. Jonestown got 2.3 million Arbitrum. We have Pluto DAO getting 2.7 million, DopeX getting 3.8 million, and then also down here we have SpareX getting 1.8 million. SpareX is one of those cryptos that I think could actually have a lot of adoption given an entire bull run, and it doesn't really have too many competitors inside of the Arbitrum ecosystem. Now, as it stands, it doesn't show the entire price history, but this thing had a brutal bear market, this massive collapse, and we've been ranging ever since. Now, this one did make a lower low inside of January, but nonetheless, we've been just consolidating here ever since. Now, what I find interesting about SpareX is it's doing a pretty rare bottom formation, which is what's known as a compound fulcrum, where you actually get a bearish head and shoulder formation that ends up being a bottom, where we break out. And if we end up breaking out of this high and doing something like this, kind of like what I think we'll end up doing, then this is going to actually be a bottom formation. Even though it's a bearish pattern, sometimes this can actually end up bottoming and being a bullish setup, and that's what's known as a compound fulcrum, and you can actually look that up on the internet. And so that's to me what it looks like it's actually doing. And so the second that we really clear out these range highs, that's going to be where we're going to set ourselves up for the next leg up. And this entire move off of these lows, in my opinion, was just a wave 1. So if we're looking at this as being a potential wave 3, the 1618 is our target, and from where we're at today, that's almost a 2x from here. So the upside potential with this one is pretty high. It's got a pretty low market cap, and with this one not having too much competition in the grand scheme of things, I think that this is one to watch. They also got a ton of money in that airdrop, and these are all cryptos that I'm invested in, all cryptos I'm very interested in. We had Jonestown, we had Hamachi Finance, we also had Pluto DAO, definitely one to watch out there. And then we had rebate token for our DPX. Now, this is a really important setup because I think that the entirety of the ecosystem is going to explode. GMX is another one of those big winners that I think that we're going to be able to have a safer pick, being higher market cap, safer investment in my opinion. But with all of this that we're seeing in the Arbitrum ecosystem, there really isn't anything else that's taking off quite like what we're seeing in Arbitrum. There has been AI narratives that we've seen take off. That's definitely one to keep a note of. But what we've seen as far as DeFi transitioning and really conglomerating over into the Arbitrum ecosystem, that's a huge, huge red flag. And not a bad red flag, it's a big red flag that there's going to be a big bull run playing out inside of this market. And so I think it's something that we definitely need to be watching for. There's a reason why I've pivoted my portfolio to being focused into this ecosystem. And now that it's getting to the point of breaking out, in my opinion, you guys are going to definitely see a lot more talk into here. You're better to be early than you are to be listening to everybody else talking about it as the market's taking off. We're pretty much at those last stages where you're going to be early, because the second this starts going into price discovery, it's pretty much game over for being early from that point, because in my opinion, it's going to take off really quick. So with that being said, guys, if you found value in this, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. If you guys want to join the Discord server, download my free ebook. Links are in the description for that. For anybody who would like to follow the trades, see all of these investments, all of these cryptos I've talked about today, we're posted in my Discord. We're all in profit. We've all made profit off all of these. We've all taken profit and bought back in the dips. So if you guys want to be able to compound these gains, Arbitrum altcoins are going to explode, and this is a great way to be able to do that in my group. Links are in the description. Go ahead and sign up on my website. Thank you all so much for the support. And with that being said, I'll catch you in the next one. As always, peace out.